Okay, thank you. It's an honor to be here. Now, insurance is about risk, and what I did was I actually brought my computer, and if I have time, I'm going to jump into the platform and show you a live demo, or if there's any questions, I would feel free to jump in and do this. Gary Hoberman, so Outside In. It's probably the perfect name because for 24, 25 years, I was in Fortune 50 Wall Street companies. The last 5 years as MetLife's global CIO. And I always believed you could innovate inside out. I have 8 patents. Unqork is my 8th patent. My 7th patent won 15 industry awards in Asia. The most recent one was we beat Amazon Kindle. They took second to my app, which took first, from PR Week's Best Use of Digital Awards. So to beat Amazon at Best Use of Digital, it's an unusual thing for an insurance company to actually do. It actually proved you could do it. I loved innovating inside out. I was one of the youngest managing directors at Citibank and built six innovations that are still running there, powering payments and the equity trades. I did come to the conclusion about a year ago, insurance is in need of being fixed and not disrupted, not startups coming in and trying to disrupt. Because the challenge with a startup coming in and disrupting, which is amazing, I love what we're all doing, is the second an insurance company invests and acquires, it's limited to that company. And what it really comes down to, and what I actually saw was, the CEOs of the insurance companies themselves don't understand their competitive advantage. I did an exercise recently at a technology event, one of the largest in the world, and I actually had all the CIOs stand up in the room. And I'm not going to do this to you here. And I said, congratulations, you're now CEO of your company. I want you to stop and think, what's your competitive advantage in the market? What separates you from your competition? And now I want you to sit down when what I say is true. More than 50% of what you're spending today in technology is related to that advantage. And no one sat down. I kind of knew that. And then I go down. I go to 50 to 25 to 10. My feeling is about 5 to 10% at most of what we're spending today in technology and operations has any relevance to what makes you unique versus your competitors. And it's what I've seen and what I actually know. And the problem with that is focus and strategy and distracting from what's important. So I actually saw insurance coming to a different place. I saw insurance where we could empower the manufacturers and the carriers to succeed, to connect with the customers and distributors to actually sell more product faster. But it required actually someone coming inside to the outside to help them back in. So that's why I love the name of the conference, Outside In. It's actually, I came to the conclusion it has to be fixed from the outside in, working with the largest companies. So with that, Unqork itself, as you see here, is 6 months old, and we've signed 5 of the largest US-based insurance companies. We've now gone through that 1-year cycle you expect to go through procurement, security, vendor reviews, every aspect in record time. It's actually so encouraging to see when you work with the right technology leaders how fast this could actually happen. And I'm seeing that myself firsthand. The idea of insurance, when I entered insurance from banking, I kept being told insurance is complex, you don't get it. And I was coming from building nanosecond trading systems. That's complex. That's stressful. And insurance, when a system went down, someone was like, we'll bring it back tomorrow. It's fine. So a little different there. And you know, I rolled up my sleeves. I went on rides with agents and traveled with brokers and sat through the experience of the customer. And reality was, it's not complex. There's a lot of business rules. Maybe unnecessarily, but there's a lot of them. And the challenge is those business rules were coded in systems and technology, which perception is that's complexity. And that's true. So Unqork's goal is to actually fix all of that, as we'll walk through here today. So specifically, customer has to be a competitive advantage. You have to know your customer. You have to have a development process of products which focuses on understanding the customer and their needs. However, the way this looks today in the market is quite different. So this is actually what it looks like today, is the customer is being abstracted by an agent, and the agent is working with multiple carriers, and distribution is moving more and more towards this process. Thank you. And basically, when you look at this process, it's very hard from a carrier to understand the customer and their needs and build better products when all the data and analytics being collected along this journey is non-existent because it's all paper. And it's not just paper in one way. It's paper going to a marketing organization who's entering it in their system to send paper out to the carrier who enters it in their system, and probably once more after that. So this whole journey is extremely expensive from a technology and operations point of view, but more expensive from a customer point of view, where they're spending 30+ days. So when you look at this, this kind of feels like, this old movie, which everyone kind of knows, Home Alone, and you want to scream. Our goal is to actually fix that within Unqork. So specifically, what we look at is, it was very clear to me, insurance is nothing but retail. Insurance is simple. There's a distributor and there's a manufacturer. A lot of times, each of those parties forgets their right advantage and they focus differently. So many manufacturers think they should be building sales tools, when in reality, they should be focusing on building the best products with the right service. And it's a very different focus area. When you think about insurance and why we are where we are now, which is pretty broken, the reality is that sitting in between retail, distribution, and manufacturing is tons of sources of data and collection methods. 65% of US is still paper, life and annuity, 80% in annuity. P&C, everyone thinks P&C solved. It has absolutely not been solved. And the actual manufacturers want to sell their products as much as they can to the distributors. And the startups of the world, which we love, are actually want to sell the products of the manufacturers. It's a great relationship. It's just that there's no connection between the two. So when we actually built Unqork, what we saw the missing gap is the same way Amazon looked at retail. Forget Amazon.com. Half of Amazon's revenues comes from a product, a service called Fulfilled by Amazon. You could read about it. It's very intelligent the way they did it. They said they can't fix retail till they fix the fulfillment of a product. Is the product in stock? Is it appropriate for the customer? Is it eligible for the customer in their state? How do we store the products, ship them? How do we make this product intelligent to give insights back to the manufacturers to actually sell more product? We are basically doing that for financial services, starting with insurance. And we've already actually not just signed insurance products, we've actually been able to do this with pensions, 401ks, as well as account openings for asset management, as well as a mortgage we've recently modeled. We come in and we basically don't want to give a single excuse for the manufacturer who is our only client. We only work with the manufacturer. That's our client. And we basically don't want to give a single excuse, so we come in and we say, you don't need to deploy our sales tool. You don't need to deploy our process. We'll take over your entire operation today of new business and execution of underwriting. Not underwriting, but executing the rules that you've defined of underwriting, which is a very big difference. So we are a utility. We have a software as a service. We also have an operational team as a service. And when you think about this, we're basically saying what that means is we'll take over your nightmare today. We'll take over your paper tomorrow. You're getting 1 million paper applications a year. Many companies in Japan, that's what they're facing. We'll take that over tomorrow and start processing it. What's different about us taking that over is the second it comes in, not 3 weeks later, it's analyzed, digitized, and your underwriting rules have already been executed on the paper. Very unique, very different what we could do with this. We'll take over all of your integrations to your banks, bank assurance. I've seen personally one bank force an insurance company spend $5 million on integration costs. I could tell you the deal wasn't worth it. We basically make that our problem. We integrate with all the parties. To a manufacturer, we give a clean order. It's pretty simple. So how do we do that? We start and we basically ask you to model your rules. And there's 2 products that we offer as part of our patent pending platform. One of those is a beautiful experience sales tool that's been built by understanding agent behavior and customer activity. The other product is actually fulfilled by Unqork, where we fulfill this process and service. So specifically, when you think about how this works for sales, we have a very unique ability that we understood and studied behavior, and what we realized is a lot of the breakdown in insurance is a trust issue between the agent and the customer, many times because they're selling to their own family. And the agent asks their sister-in-law what's her height, weight, and has she ever smoked marijuana? And it stops. The process stops, and it shouldn't. And what we actually built into our platform is the idea you could digitally hand off back and forth the application. So the agent could swing it over to the customer right there or at home, and the customer could actually pick it up and answer it in the privacy of his or her home and actually send it back digitally. We actually enable you to define those complex rules in minutes, as you'll see here. Continuing on, we actually have our fulfillment process where we could take in everything from paper. We could plug in external data sources. We could plug in all the data sources that you're using today instantly, which means it's our integration, but it benefits multiple carriers. So if genetics becomes available in insurance, it's an integration I make, and every carrier we work with automatically gets genetic data along with the application, if they choose. And that's something they can then underwrite with. As I mentioned, we could basically integrate with any platform, and we've done this easily with 40-year-old assembly systems to 15-year-old Oracle platforms pretty seamlessly. What we ask the customer to do is to focus on the rules. Your competitive advantage, at least my view of insurance, is simply in the rules of underwriting and risk assessment. It's defining those rules. It's back to what it was 200 years ago. Digital has actually been making things worse and distracting in many ways. Once you define those rules, you use our platform to define those rules, store the rules without writing one line of code. You map those to our existing products. You pull them off the shelf and just map it. We don't ask you to implement any standard. We would love standards, but they don't exist yet. And we basically allow you to work in your language, local language, meaning you can work in Spanish, you can work in Mandarin, and basically our platform maps it back automatically to our definitions. Once they're mapped to our definitions, we could actually fill an order from any channel, and we give you a clean application. And very simply, when a paper application comes in, chances are not in good order. It's gonna have issues. What we do very uniquely, which will automatically bring up the adoption of a digital interface in markets that haven't yet matured, many markets in Asia have, is it actually will allow the agent to immediately receive back a link. So they sent us paper. Within an hour, they get a link back to all of their paper now in a digital, beautiful e-app, highlighting in red every error that they've made to prevent this from being issued. And that's not just NIGO errors, that's the underwriting rules that you've defined. That's exactly what's the core of your business. If you need to know if that person smokes and how frequently they smoke, it's a rule. If the paper comes in with a check mark of smoke and there's nothing there for frequency, we stop it, we send it back to the agent immediately, digitally. We track it, we do metrics, and we actually know if they've completed it or not. Then you get a clean application back. The actual interface itself, which is called Unqork Express, it's the equivalent of Amazon.com, we give for free. There's no licensing, there's no charge, we host it. If you adopt this for your captive agents, your independent agents, or your channels, all you're doing is reducing my internal costs because I've already taken over the risk. I'm betting on technology. I'm betting on modeling and machine learning to actually make this process better. And we have a business built around that. Our interface is designed to be super friendly. There's no errors. Once you start using the interface, you don't get through unless you've actually completed it successful. And very simply, just to kind of demonstrate this real time, this is the Unqork interface designed for your analysts. So it's a little more technical than probably used to seeing. But in reality, what you're seeing, I filmed this in a break here yesterday. Just took me a minute or two. You're seeing me actually configure a first name and a last name in any language. We could support any language today. And you're seeing me actually lay it out a little differently. So first name, last name next to each other, side by side, simple, right? And in 2 minutes, you've actually not just created a visual representation, you've actually created a working application ready to be deployed to production. That's everything you ever need to deploy. What's very different now is you're going to see me do the same thing, and I'm going to drag in reusable components so you don't start fresh. So I'm going to drag in an insured party, a customer component that brings everything along a customer ever needs. And you'll see here, this customer was actually designed for the US. So I'm going to remove social security number and drop in the Hong Kong ID validation, a checksum. So it's a component we already built. I could drop in a credit score check. That's a plugin. Maybe it goes to Experian or Equifax. You could actually see I'm dropping in a vehicle search, which we have built. And I'm going to drop in a signature. And the signature will be a digital signature, which actually lets us capture that moment right there. It took 53 seconds so far. This is actually live, and I could do it real time if we chose to. In 53 seconds, what we basically built is a fully working production application working on any device. So this is branded your brand, your colors, your fonts. No one ever sees Unqork. Every bit of data that we collect along the way, it's your data. The most important thing to a future insurance company is the data along this journey. So our going in point is you own the data. Everything we collect is something you should be using to build better products. We could tell you how long the person spent on that one field to enter in the Hong Kong ID and get the validation. We have real-time lookups through everything from Google through external APIs, and we're bringing more on board. And you'll see here I'm just entering Grand Hyatt Hotel. We'll pick the address. We'll continue forward. And very simply, you can see how we can bring in everything from the vehicle, the make, the model, and digital signature as well. It's going to take 2 more seconds. And you'll see I'm going to search for a pretty nice car. Let's look for a 2017 Benz. We have built-in search for using Google-like text search, which allows us to actually scan millions or billions of records pretty fast. And you can see here I'm basically signing, and I've done an application. So you just watched a product being built from the back end to the agent experience on the front end, and it's saved and it's done. Very quickly, what you're going to see here is maybe it's not a vehicle insurance, maybe it's a life insurance. So I'm going to ask the broker, what do you want to insure? The person, a vehicle, a plane, or a building? So let's go from simple P&C to life to specialty, commercial. And very simply, all I'm going to do is drag in some components which would say there's a medical question. Let's ask some critical illness questions. If the person has cancer, what stage? Where are they in? If it's a vehicle, I'm going to ask you some questions around the vehicle. If it's a building, I'm going to ask you the age of the building and everything else around it. And if it's a plane, I'm going to ask you the FAA information about the plane and maintenance records. All of this information is libraries that we build up and collect across the industry. So we actually see a world where even in specialty, which is all paper, we see a world you could actually classify every single object easily within minutes. So very simply, we've actually created this. I'm going to just let this play for a second. We've defined the concept of micro decisions, which is our ability to break down a complex step into multiple individual simple steps. And here you'll see I'm actually creating a micro decision that simply says, if the person said they want a plane, show a plane. If they said they want a person, show the critical illness questions. Very simple. It takes 2 seconds. And we've actually modeled everything using Excel. Because most of your analysts work in Excel, most of your actuaries and rough pricing is done in Excel. So you could actually copy straight from Excel into Unqork and you're ready to go. It's very simple. We didn't create our own language for that. And very simple, if we just go through this, you'll see I actually said it's a building. There's all these questions on construction. This is the broker interface now. And there's a plane. We've got a plane there. That's great. And a person, maybe we'll ask some questions on person and actually see tumor size, et cetera. So what I'm going to do is just real quick jump out, and then we'll take questions. This is what the power becomes. It's your data. It's everything from the actual sales analysis across channels and looking maybe at just direct-to-consumer and how that plays out, through maybe which are your best-selling agents within which geographies and which locations, zooming in specifically on the top-selling agent and what they're doing differently. Everything from the journey analysis, which is how the actual journey quotes from prospecting through issuance. And most importantly, and most excited, this is where the evolutionary concept of Unqork becomes revolutionary. We have enough data to actually help you refine your business rules. Meaning, very simple, we know every single rule that fired that you've defined, and we know from you if you've accepted or rejected that application. Which means we could actually provide you, in this case, I could look at a term life, let's just say Series 10 product, and I can look specifically and say that this Rule 11 is firing pretty frequently. It has no correlation, using machine learning, to any decisioning you've ever made. This rule is firing. It's firing all the time, 70% of the time. You're asking the customer a question, but in reality, that question is needless. Get it out. It's not needed. And you're able to actually come to the point to understand not just what's happening behind the scenes of your underwriting and decisions, but you're able to leverage then Unqork for what we'll call the predictive issuance process, which is once your rules are in Unqork, you could send an agent to a customer with 3, 5 products pre-underwritten and pre-approved. It's no longer about a process to sell insurance. It becomes about the yes, sign here, and it's issued on the spot. The commission's paid immediately, and we handle all that. So I think I've kind of went through that quickly. This is what this looks like for maybe an agent, and it's branded with your colors, your look and feel, sorry. And you'll see how it actually, that app that I was showing before automatically becomes reflexive. And we're able to actually enter this within all the information as quick as we can. OK, I think I went a little over. Questions?
Only a true technologist offers to do a live demo on stage. So,
take the risk. Insurance is about risk. It's got
look, there has to be some questions there. Fascinating demo. I'm going to take the first question.
Yeah.
Unqork? What is this name?
So it's about uncorking the competitive advantage we believe every company has. So uncorking, like unbottling. I couldn't.
But because you're a startup, you had to put a Q in?
I couldn't afford the C.
Oh, okay.
I actually, so believe it or not, the true story, it was Unqork, but to buy the URL unqork.com would have cost me $500,000.
Wow.
And the Q was $14.99 on GoDaddy. And we are about value. We're not about, so we actually did the Q. And a lot of people have been creative and saying, so you put the Q before the U, which is you're reversing everything. That's great. I'm like, yeah, I've never thought about that. It wasn't that.
Excellent. Questions from the room for Gary? Over here? I'm sure a couple of other folks can think of questions. It's a fascinating presentation. We're going round the houses here, I think.
I should have mentioned, so we are in production with the number 2 largest company, let's say, in the space, but we are with 4 other clients signed. This is the first time in Asia. So I really welcome and thank the PIC for hosting us, and it's great to see this.
Yeah, I am with MetLife and have a question about, you mentioned paper up there.
Yes.
And, but you are still integrating paper, keeping the agents still comfortable with paper, not driving them straight into an electronic application. Is that your thought?
It's absolutely what we're based on, which is we would say don't change the agent behavior. We take your paper in because I could do it at a scale across 2 companies or 10 companies or 30 companies better than your company can individually. However, when the paper comes in, immediately we give back the agent a link to clean up their mistakes. Not EAP, but it's a beautiful link that says, in red, you've made 3 errors here. You forgot to tell us frequency of smoke, you didn't answer the person skydives, and you got the birth date wrong. We did a lookup and we found out. Once the agent starts to use that, what we're seeing is they don't go back to the paper. So we actually believe that's the way to bring the agents over without forcing a training and forcing anything on them, is a very nice, by the way, maybe next time they'll say, oh, it was so easy, let me just try it first. And that would be it. So we are working with distribution partners, just saying take Unqork for free, because it's just going to reduce my costs, my operations.
Great.
Thanks.
And how ready have you found potential partners to work with this? Because I think, people will look at this and say, wow, this is probably an order of magnitude better as a process relative to what we got. Is there a divide that you need to bridge?
Yeah, so one advantage when I've come out of the insurance world was I was trusted by the CEOs and my peers, the CIOs. And they're bringing us in proactively, reaching out, many companies, and saying, just come present to the CIO, present to the board. Out of 30 Fortune 500 companies we've now met with, 2 have said, we're going to go out on our own. The other 28 have all moved forward. And I've been pleasantly surprised, super encouraged by what I'm seeing. I've seen procurement groups call us up and say, we're told to get this during the next week.
Wow.
And that's something I've never seen before. I got to tell you, though, from my side, I was on the other side of this for a long time. We're getting 1,500 questionnaires from these companies, and the question will be, do we use AS400? And we're like, no, we're cloud-based, we're Amazon or Microsoft. No. And it kicks back to us with explain your contingency plan for not using AS400. Yeah. And there's no, but so we're dealing with both sides of that.
So we're back to this procurement process issue,
Yes.
which I think everyone encounters
Absolutely.
in this space. Any other questions from the room? Sure, Leonard.
Gary, thanks for coming. When do you IPO?
We actually, so we got to this point with really bootstrap funding. We got through the 5 clients without any funding. We got revenue before funding. We've taken just a small amount on a note, and we've had all the offers. We're happy with how we're going here. By the way, we have to be Switzerland, which is, Leonard, the most interesting thing is the amount of insurance companies we've met with because they asked us to. And our first opening point is we can't take any money from you, because I've been told that if we take any investment from any insurance company, no one will come near me as a client. So that trust issue has to go away. That's where, because in reality, I would like nothing better than be funded by a consortium of insurance companies who are my clients. And that was my starting point, actually. That's where I thought we would be. And yeah.
Yeah, this is an interesting dynamic in the industry, particularly the more and more corporate venture funds.
Yes.
There's this kind of sense in the market that if I get invested by this bank or this insurer, does that then prevent me either implicitly or explicitly working with some of their competitors and so on? And even just the idea around it can be slightly debilitating, let alone the practice.
Absolutely.
Are you guys in the process of raising money?
We've been in conversations, but we are.
It's the classic response.
We've got enough revenue to bring us healthy.
Well, you know what they say in raising money: when you need to ask for it, you won't get it. When you don't need to ask for it, everyone will offer it.
That's exactly right. It's like dating.
Exactly. So, any other questions for Gary from the audience? I think we got a great demo there of effectively digital sales process. Did I see a hand go up? Any other questions before we close out the session? No? Okay, great. Well, please round of applause for Gary. Thank you very much.
Thank you.